Let me officially welcome you all to BizTalk 136. I'm coming to you live from the city of Singapore, also known as Malayan City. Has anybody ever been to Singapore? Could you wave your hand if you've been to Singapore? Wave your hand, don't be shy. Wonderful, excellent. Well, it's a rainy day today in Singapore and it's fairly overcast, but I'm here with you guys, so I have nothing to worry about. Ladies and gentlemen, let's start today's session. And what we're going to do today is we're going to learn about business and financial planning in order to start a business. So let me start by sharing my slides and getting you all to make sure you have pen and paper ready to take notes. Ms. Medina, could you share slides, please? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, so today we're talking about financial planning for business. We're going to talk today about what it means to be financially capable to run a business. I repeat, what does it mean to be financially capable to run a business? Does everybody understand what I'm saying? What does it take to be financially capable? Finance in business is not easy because most people sacrifice their life savings in order to be financially capable. All right, we'll just wait 2 more minutes and we'll record attendance. Does everybody understand what I mean, financially capable? Everybody requires a capacity to be financially capable for business. I know you're at work. Please allow me 2 or 3 more minutes and record attendance because people are still joining. You'll need to keep your camera on until attendance is recorded. Okay, so financial planning, ladies and gentlemen, is something that you use in your work life and something that you use in your personal life. And regardless whether you decide to open a business or whether you decide to work for someone, you need to know how to financially plan for your retirement and for your peace of mind. I think where the attendance is built, let's now record attendance, please. Let's record attendance. Could we switch off the PowerPoint, Medina, and record attendance, please? Okay, on the count of 3, everybody switch on their camera, and we are recording attendance. Do not switch off your camera until I have given you permission. This is your final warning. Okay? Do not switch off your camera until I have given you permission. On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Cameras on. Thank you. Keep your camera on until I tell you otherwise. Cameras on. Okay, cameras on, please. Everybody keep their cameras on. Thank you. Everybody, cameras on. If your camera is switched off right now, you will unlikely get a certificate. Your camera must be on now for you to get a certificate. Attendance is being recorded. If your camera is not switched on during attendance, there is no guarantee that you will get a certificate. This is your final warning. Okay, all right. So everybody, we have completed attendance recording. Ms. Medina? Yes, thank you. All right, we have completed attendance recording. If you're at work and you have sent me a message stating your name and clearly stating, I am Rami Eslin, I am at work. Only then are you allowed to switch off your camera. And if I call on you for attendance again and you do not switch on your camera, you will automatically be marked absent. Thank you very much. Let's resume our lesson. Could we share slides, please? Thank you. Okay, guys. So as I said, business is about having the money to run a business. Business is about having enough cash, enough financial capability to actually be able to employ people and run a business. So let's today learn, what does financial planning for business mean? Whether you want to open a small business or a large business, ladies and gentlemen, you need to actually financially plan. To open a bakery, you need money. To open a restaurant, you need money. To open a beauty shop, you need money. To actually run a business from home where you buy merchandise from China and sell it online, you need money. Every business needs money. So let's go on and talk about what is the definition of small business. Ladies and gentlemen, small business is defined as a privately owned entity. Could we change the slide, please? Thank you. A small business is defined as a privately owned entity. It could be a sole proprietorship. It could be a corporation. It could be a partnership. All right. But all of these entities are considered to be a business entity. And the prime objective of any business entity is to make a return on the capital invested to starting that business. No one wants to start a business unless they know that that business can make money. No one wants to start a business to lose money. Do you all understand that, guys? No one. So small in terms of being able to apply for government support. If you're a small business in some countries, you are entitled to apply for limited government support because you're small. And you may be eligible to get tax incentives from the government in your country. But business is about making a profit, not about just getting government subsidies. Small businesses often can implement the same quality management systems found in big companies. But what that means is you need to understand how to manage the business finances. Okay, for example, if you own a company, you need a human resource department. You need someone to help you interview, advertise, recruit, train, and so that the company can function. If you try to open a business without a HR department and you're a one-man operation, well, are you going to have time to recruit people when your turnover is $20,000 to $35,000 a month? You won't. Now, if you're aiming to open a business and be happy with $200 a month in turnover, then you shouldn't open a business. You should just keep working. A business is not just about, making $100 a month just, because you can say to your friends, I've got a business and I do it part-time. A business is about you making an investment and buying things to sell online if you're working from home, but you need to make a profit to cover the electricity bill at home, to cover the time that you're wasting at home running the business. All of these are realistic expenses that sometimes people ignore. Okay, let's go to the next slide. So the value perceived by small business person, no, previous one, please. The value perceived by small business personnel is basically different. Some people say, I only need $500,000 to open a restaurant, because these people don't have any real idea of what it takes to start a business. Some of you have a guess, you presume. Some of you are very good at assuming things, all right? And I'm sure you've all done it. I'm sure you've all heard of the saying that to assume is to be an ass. In business, you should never assume anything. Would you agree with that, Oldester? Oldester, would you agree with that? Very good, young man. All right, so it is wrong to say that to assume is okay. To assume means that you will be making a very brave statement, that you're making an assumption and you understand that you may be wrong. In business, we never make assumptions. To make assumptions can lead to losing millions of dollars. Do you understand that, everyone? Yes or no? So there is no room for assumptions in business finance. Now, you might ask yourself, well, how do I know that I'm ready to start a business? You need to go through the process of developing a business plan, developing a financial budget and a financial plan, and actually making sure that that plan is feasible and justifiable before you actually take the time to actually physically start a business. And if you're a one-man operation, you should get advice from an accountant or somebody who knows their numbers. Don't ever assume that you know, because to start a business has costs that you may not be aware of. And before you start any business, you should have a vision, a mission, objectives, and you should know what you're going to sell, where your market is, and who are your competitors, and how much profit can you make on the items you sell. Let's look at basically a small business model diagram. Next slide, please. Okay, so basically, let's talk about it. Where do your costs come in? Well, the venue. If you're paying rent, you have to pay rent. And if you're digital online, you probably have to contribute to an e-commerce platform or build your own website. And then you may need an e-commerce solution for people to pay you online. The other thing you need to worry about is the selling proposition or the target. Who are your customers? And who are other businesses that are selling the same products or services? Now, if your venue is a local shop, you need to ask yourself, is having a local brick and mortar shop enough? Or do I also need online exposure in order to maximize my revenue? The solutions provided. What are you providing your customers? Remember, the solutions provided must be some things that you can sell. They must be sellable solutions. And part of setting up a business, as you've already learned, is about understanding the 5 C's of business, right? The 5 C's of business. What are the 5 C's of business? Does anybody remember? What are the 5 C's of business? Who can tell me? What are they? Can anyone here tell me? Come on, guys, don't be shy. I want to hear your voices. Can anybody tell me what are the 5 C's of business? Who can tell me? Iman, can you tell me? Hi, Iman. Would you like to unmute your microphone? Where are you, Iman? Unmute your microphone, Iman. Unmute your microphone. Talk to me. Hurry up.
Hello, hi everyone.
Hi, Iman. What are the 5
yeah.
C's of business? Go ahead.
What I can remember for our class is customer centric, product centric. Wait, what are the other C's? I had that written down. Those are the only
Customer centric, product centric, and you missed the biggest one. They need to afford it. What? Price centric. Next one.
Well, wait, okay. I mentioned, all right, customer centric, product centric, price. I have that written down somewhere here.
Service
centric,
and the last one.
One second.
Market centric.
Market, yeah. Thank you.
So very good, Imran. As everybody should remember, before you start a business, as Mr. Imran just told us, you need to be customer centric, you need to be product centric, you need to be price centric, and you need to be market centric. So Nell-Marie, do you understand what all those mean? Can you wave your hand? What we mean by those, Nell-Marie, is to be customer-centric, Deverly, is to understand your customer and put yourself in their shoes and ask yourself, if I'm the customer, Nell-Marie, what would I want to buy? And why would I buy their product, not the competitor's product? Remember, people only buy when they want something and you can prove to them that they need it. Remember, I told you that there's only one meaning to selling today. Why sell when customers buy? You don't need to sell a product. if you can convince customers that they need to buy it. So in a business, if you can put yourself into the head of your future customers and ask yourself what they want, why they want it, and what do you need to give them so they need it, that's when you understand the customer and you can start planning to open a business. The second thing you have to understand is you have to put yourself in their shoes and ask yourself, if they're going to buy this pen, what do they want this pen to do? How do you understand what your product needs to have for that customer to agree to buy it? That means you have to take that customer like Medina from wanting this pink pen to making her feel as if she needs to have it, because she will only buy it if she needs to have it. Does everybody understand that? Yes or no? Wave your hands, please. Come on, everybody wave their hands. Wave your hands, Nell Mary, please. Come on, I need to see you active, everyone. Very good. So we know that you have to be customer-centric. We know that you have to be product-centric, and you have to understand how much customers in your region can afford to pay. You have to understand, Iman, what is their ability to spend their disposable income. Their disposable income is their salary, less food, living expenses, electricity, and rent, and whatever they're left over in pocket money that they have the freedom to spend, disposable income. You need to put yourself in your shoes and ask, if my customers are 16-year-old schoolgirls, can they afford to buy a pen worth $1,000 to write with at school? The answer is no, your business will fail. If I'm selling Rolex watches, who's my target customer? Is it the schoolgirl on the street, or is it working adults? You need to understand that. Then you need to understand the level or type of service that your customers want by putting yourself in their shoes and thinking the way they think. Do they want to be able to go to a store to buy your product, or do they want to buy it online as well? And last but not least is a sellable solution. It says up there, limited to region, locally, or worldwide. Well, if you're going to sell your product locally, of course, your revenue will be limited. And therefore, you should not invest so much money because you only have a small market proposition. But if you're going to take your product to the whole of the Philippines, not just Manila, if you focus on Manila only, it's okay. But again, your revenue will be limited. Your target will be limited. Your customers will be limited to Manila. But if you take your product to all of the Philippines, that's a bigger market. And if you intend to take your product globally and put it on Amazon or Shopee, again, that's a different sellable solution that you have to have. What do I mean by sellable solution? If Iman, wants to design T-shirts and he wants to sell them in America, a lot of guys in America are oversized because they eat fast food and they're obese. So he has to come up with not double XL, not triple XL, not 4XL, but he has to have 5XL in his size range in order to make it sellable. Do you understand the example, Imran? You understand what I'm saying, Iman? Put your hand up. Very good. So let's go the other way. If Janeth was trying to design dresses to sell in the market in the Middle East, the dresses have to be long dresses below the kneecap, because women in the Middle East won't wear short dresses. So you have to make sure that the product you have is sellable and is viable in that market by understanding the market and being market-centric. All of these factors are important in order for you to be able to forecast how much sales you can generate, and in turn, forecast what your costs and expenses in running that business will be. Because at the end of the day, it's revenue less expenses equals profit. If you go revenue less expenses and you have a negative loss, you might as well give up. You'll go bankrupt. You all understand that? Can everybody wave their hands? Very good. Okay, let's go on. So let's now look at the next slide. What are the stages in growing a business and making it financially viable? The first thing you need to do is you need to categorize the problems and growth patterns of the small business. And this may be difficult at first. Well, let's talk about them. Small business vary widely in size and capacity of growth. And this depends on the person starting the business, the country you're in, the economic growth in that country, and how many markets you tend to take your product to. Yet generally, most businesses who fail in the first 3 to 4 years. And trust me, a lot of them fail because the people who started them have no idea of what it takes to run a business. Okay, so when we talk about this, now let's start getting academic here for a few minutes. I know you don't like me getting technical, but let's talk about these. When you look at a business, it needs to be organized into a framework that increases the understanding of what the costs are going to be, what your expenses are going to be, and whether you'll be able to afford to run it. This can be used for all types of businesses. Example, from a little corner, a dry cleaning shop where you have 2 washing machines, 2 dryers, and you do people's laundry, and you only employ 1 or 2 people and pay them, $2 an hour, to a $20 million a year computer software company experiencing a 40% annual growth. Regardless how small you are or how big you are, you can still make it work, providing you understand what your investment is, what your projected revenue is expected to be, and how much of that revenue can you afford to spend in cost. Understanding the stages of small business growth and the inherent problems or pitfalls or dangers you can face are very important for you before you even contemplate going into business. A very good example here is owners will have to spend an extraordinary amount of money and time, during the initial startup period, and then must learn to begin delegating the work or employing people to help them. Does everybody understand this? Yes or no? Come on, when I say, do you understand, guys, I really ask you to please all wave your hands or put up your electronic fingers. I want to see hundreds of electronic fingers go across my screen because I need to make sure that you're listening to me, please. Very good. Excellent. I want to see electronic hands everywhere. Okay, good. So does everybody picture that if you started a business, the reason you're starting a business is because you want to make money. You want to get a return on your investment. Let's look at the stages of business and talk about the survival elements in the stages of business. All right, I want you all to focus on my screen and concentrate on my screen for now. All right, please. Okay, stage number 1 is the business existence. Next slide, please, Medina. Now, that's it. Thank you, Medina. The first stage of business going along the chart is stage 1, the business existence. Okay, so stage 1 existence talks about growth achieved through creativity and open to crisis of leadership. Okay, let's talk about the size and complexity. All right, now remember, for a new business, growth achieved through creativity is really important because if you don't have creativity, the business will never grow. And if you can't manage crisis in that first initial stage where crisis usually happens, you will fail. Let's go to stage 2. Stage 2, ladies and gentlemen, is what we call stage 2 survival. Stage 1 is existence, becoming a business. Stage 2 is survival. Growth achieved through direction, open to crisis of autonomy. So when you go into existence, you've got enough money to set up the business. Then it's a matter of you being able to keep it open and not lose all your investment. And that requires you to have a direction, a business plan showing you what your company's goals, what your objectives are, what your products are, and based on the 5 C's and your centric research, what do you need to do? What products do you need to offer to meet or outsell your competitors? At what price can your customers afford to pay? All of this is part of stage 2 survival. Because if you can't answer the 5 C's, you will fail during stage 2. You will not get to stage 3. Stage 3 success is the growth you've achieved after reaching stage 2 and getting people to help you, people that you can delegate to help you run the business because the business is growing. And right from stage 1 to stage 3, you should have the skills required to manage problems on a daily basis. Otherwise, you shouldn't be in business, or you should have someone to help you. Stage 4, takeoff. So at stage 3, you're successful, the business is running, you're generating $100, $200, $300, $400 a week, but that's not enough to stay in business. That's only the start. By stage 4, your business revenue must grow because your marketing budget would have been implemented and you're starting to become known to new customers. Now, when you get to stage 4, this might also mean you've decided to expand into new markets, into new territories. You also have to understand the bureaucracy and legal requirements in those countries to make sure your product is legal in those countries and you're allowed to sell it. Example, you can't export pork to Saudi Arabia. So you can't sell your pork in Saudi Arabia unless you're one of 2 companies that the government licensed. And they can sell very little because Saudi Arabia bans locals from eating pork. It's only for the few foreigners who live there for a short time. Stage 5 is maturity. By stage 5, you've got your product, your suppliers in check. They've all been locked in. You have service standards and you have trained staff to run your business. Now, when you think of this, guys, when you think of it, hold on, guys. When you think of this, guys, you need to think stage 5 will only happen after the business has become mature. And that usually takes, for a good business, a solid business, 12 to 15 months. For a small business, it can take up to 18 to 24 months. Does everybody understand that? Yes or no? If a business is going to fail, it will usually fail at stage 3. If it gets over stage 3, it will usually continue to stage 4 and 5, unless something drastic happens, that the owner makes an incorrect investment and burns his money, or something goes wrong. Okay, let's go on. Existence stage is during the startup phase. To move from an idea to a business takes customers, cash, and stamina. Business owners are primary source of capital and energy, and if they have only themselves to run the business, it'll be very hard. However, if they are financially capable, they may be able to get someone to help them, because being able to deliver a certain standard or level of service during your existence stage is very important. Otherwise, you will lose customers and they will tell their friends. At the very beginning of your business, what you need is customers. You don't need business cards. You don't need a company car. You need to focus on the essentials. Marketing, getting customers. That is your primary concern during the existence stage. Let's talk about the survival stage. Survival stage, please, Ms. Medina. The survival stage, ladies and gentlemen, again, this is a part of the company or a part of your existence that makes it through the startup, the existence, and have proven they have a product that people can and will buy because people have already bought it and are becoming repeat customers. But when you sell it, you must sell it at a price where you make enough money to be profitable and to be able to build a reserve so you can grow your business. If your product costs you $1 and you sell it for $1.50, by the time you paid your expenses, you don't have anything left, then you're not profitable. Owners are satisfied with marginal returns for their effort and investment and are unable or unwilling to delegate responsibility. That means that you're a small business. You're basically a mummy selling designer t-shirts from home when her kids are asleep, and you don't want to grow the business. Well, that's not really a business. It's a hobby. Listen, guys, it is not uncommon for businesses to fail by late stage 2 or early stage 3 because they did not do correct forecasting before they started. And during the first year, they were too busy buying fancy company cars, decorating fancy offices, and spending more on making themselves comfortable than on attracting new customers. Let's go to success stage, please, Ms. Medina. Next slide. Okay, success stage is once a company is economically healthy and is generating average or better profits. That means they're not losing money, they're not breaking even, but they're making a profit. Usually this happens by stage 3, and this is when they have to basically start growing the business. All right, so remember that during existence stage and survival stage, they were working towards the success stage where they now have everything running smoothly. They probably have their financial management in place. They've worked out profitability. They've positioned their product at the right price. They have repeat customers, and they're constantly marketing and attracting new customers. So by here, the company should be at growth stage. If they don't disengage and decide to grow the company, they need to focus on using cash and borrowing power to finance expansion. So there's either two ways. You can either have saved profits over the last 1 or 2 years, use that as capital investment to grow, or based on your business track record and sales over the first 2 years, by the time you get to level 3 or stage 3, you may be able to focus on using your reserves and then borrowing cash from investors or a bank to finance your expansion. Let's go to takeoff stage, please. Takeoff stage, ladies and gentlemen, is when you as a business opt to grow and you need more money to expand, knowing that you've got a market and you've already tested it through stages 1, 2, and 3. There's always a danger that the business climate will change. So you have to actually monitor your business plan, and you have to have a business continuity plan in place in the event that COVID-19 comes again and the world goes into lockdown and your business is unable to actually operate, especially if they are only brick and mortar. So you also need to think that today, if you start a business, it should not only be brick and mortar, it should also be online. Usually by level 4, stage 4, is where businesses are starting to ask themselves, I need more cash to grow and expand. And what we have next is maturity stage. Could you show us maturity stage, please? Maturity stage, please. Okay, maturity stage, Ms. Medina. Maturity stage is where the business has evolved, probably into its 5th or 6th year, and now they have full control of financial profitability. They've overcome the biggest challenges by actually getting customers to become regular customers, and they have a stable track record into customer retention. Let me give you an example. Airplane manufacturer Lockheed understood that and created a special in-house design group known as Skunk Works, which produced the fastest airplane in the world, the SR-71, and the highest flying aircraft in the world, the U-2. Now, the U-2 is governments use to actually install satellites and use it for spying operations of other countries. The SR-71, as it's known, that aircraft, the engineering of that aircraft is now adopted for fighter jets built for different governments around the world. So by this stage, maturity stage, the company is now profitable. It's got its people in place, and now it's focusing on its biggest challenge of coming up with new products and new ideas to actually allow it to grow further. Remember, in the words of a serial entrepreneur, Ben Franklin, and in the words of this academic, Wally Rauder, if you fail to plan, you're planning to fail. You're planning to go bankrupt. Does everybody understand that? Could everybody show me their hands? Does everybody understand what I said? Come on, I want to see hands. I want to see hundreds of hands, not just two. Come on, hurry up. Iman, show me your hand, Iman. Very good. Okay, all right. Okay, let's go on. So let's look at this in detail. So stage one existence means develop the initial site and launch the product. Obtain initial customers through grassroots and marketing. Testing product ideas with rapid iterative modifications, changing, adjusting price of your product or improving your product as you get feedback from customers during stage one existence. In stage two, survival, with a slightly refined product or better product that customers are buying more of because it's either better or cheaper or better than your competitors, you then start asking, well, can I get some funding to grow my business and maybe buy more product or take it to another market so I can increase my sales? Okay, you might need more money to employ people to help you run the business because of all the customers you've attracted during stage one. Many businesses who are online businesses through stage two, okay, these people plan to monetize this point is different from other businesses. So if you're running a brick and mortar business from home, you're okay. But if you're running a business and you've got your own website and you basically want to develop that website and have it in different languages and offer your products in different parts of the world, you may need an e-commerce wallet attached to your website. All of this would require monetization, where again, you would have to think of actually making it more profitable and more efficient. Level 3 or stage 3, product or service has reached a defining milestone and people are buying it and your sales have slowly started going up, okay, but you've already exceeded your sales targets. By this stage, again, because you've grown your business, etc., you may be running low on capital and you may need to look for Series B capital or your second investment of capital into the business. In stage 4, okay, you've already had investment, second round of investment in your business. So now you should be making more marketing efforts. You should be making very serious considerations of acquiring one of your competitors, or you should be able to go and buy another online business or web startup with probably 5,000 or 10,000 customers and then take over that business, which again is going to be a cheaper proposition. And there's a lot of small web startup businesses. By the time they get into their third year or the second year or end of the third year, they don't want to continue. They just want to sell it and walk away, let somebody else run it. And stage 5, again, ladies and gentlemen, is what we call maturity. This is when the startup has now become a successful business and they're probably considering going public with an IPO and listing themselves on the stock exchange. Okay, what is expansion financing? Well, no business usually expands with its own money. It would be crazy to do that because you need cash reserves to operate and pay salaries and rent. Expansion financing is a type of business loan specifically catered to businesses for expansion. Example, your company provides a particular product or service. At its expansion stage, it looks to introduce a new product or services and even be targeting new channels or executing new marketing strategies. For example, currently in the Philippines, you work online, but you only have one office in Manila. And if any customer is dissatisfied, you've now decided to open all over the Philippines, and you have customers from, Cebu and all parts of the Philippines now complaining, well, my product is faulty. I can't bring it back and swap it because you're in Manila. So part of this could be to finance a second office in Manila. The extra capital from expansion financing would usually help businesses, guys, to actually speed up your expansion plan, to actually give you more working capital, which you can use to buy other businesses and take over, or to buy more equipment, or to spend more money on activating a bigger marketing campaign and take advantage of growth opportunities that would otherwise slip away without you having sufficient funds to pay for this expansion. All right, so once you've got expansion financing, the next step is to monitor the cash flow. I repeat, monitor the cash flow. Does everybody understand what I mean by monitor the cash flow? Yes or no? You're doing this to me, Nell Marie. I'm worried. Nell Marie, look at me. Do you understand what I mean by financing, getting money to start the business? Okay. Now, we're talking about monitoring cash flow. In order for you to survive in business and to go past stage 3 to stage 4 and 5, you need to actually monitor your cash flow from day 1. Companies must monitor cash flow diligently, and they must adjust their forecast monthly to ensure that expenses and planned expenditures are in line with accounts receivable. So if this month you're selling a lot of a product, you need to actually then adjust your budget to show that the forecast for sales has increased, and you also have to adjust your expenses that are needed to employ extra staff that meet the requirements with more demand for your product, more people working for you. So adjusting your financial plan or monitoring your cash flow to make sure that you survive is critical. All right, you need to make sure that you can negotiate with your suppliers and contractors and your landlord for better prices or short-term reductions in the event that the market is down or we have another COVID-19. Remember, if the suppliers such as Coca-Cola say to you, look, you own a supermarket. If you buy 5 pallets of Coca-Cola, you'll get 1 pallet free. This is called taking advantage because 1 pallet free could bring in $5,000 of sales revenue. If you don't take that free pallet, then you can only sell what you bought. But to get the free pallet, you must order a minimum quantity. So all small businesses, can we change slides, please? All small businesses from startups to firms have been in business usually for more than 1 year, or in some multinational companies for decades. Could we go to the next slide, please, Medina? all small businesses, from startups to firms that have been in business for years or decades, always actually survive because they have the right financial revenue that ensures they can continue to serve their customers and pay salaries. There are several ways small companies can use things like smart financing and tax strategies to increase the case reserves, how much money they have in reserve, and how much money they can use from their reserves to invest in the growth of their company. Okay, so cash flow management again is a perennial problem. Cash flow management is something that happens all the time, and only effective management of the business can control cash flow. Could you change slides, please? Thank you. In a survey that was conducted in the United States in September 2020, only 28% of businesses revealed that they were financially capable and had enough cash flow on hand to be able to survive and continue business after 3 months. And to cover shortfalls, small business owners couldn't get any more loans because no one would lend them money because their sales were down, so they had to invest their own savings or go out of business. For some companies, automation helps by having robots or artificial technology, artificial intelligence, process orders online and do all the paperwork for you. So it's all generated by electronic email. Could be cheaper than having staff in the office print out paper and send it to people. So automation can help a company reduce its costs, but you must also plan to have enough money to implement the automation when you set up the business. You know, some people say that using financial software with functions that include invoicing, financial report generation, etc., will help. They do, but to use that software, you have to buy it or subscribe to it. So again, you have to have enough money when you start the business to buy these software solutions. All right, the next one we're going to look at, guys, is managing your tax liabilities, tax management. Does everybody know what tax is? Put your hand up. Who knows what taxation is? Come on, only one person. I want to see hands. Come on, please, guys. Show me hands. Everyone. You know what taxation is, Medina, am I right? Okay, Wally knows what taxation is because in Australia, I used to pay up to 61 cents in the dollar in tax every year. Thank you. Thank you, Iman Santos. Thank you, everyone. Tax management, again, it's another perennial and time-consuming problem. Perennial means it's a problem from the day you start, and it's not just your problem. All businesses face this problem. If you don't know how to calculate taxes paid as a business, and what form of entities and what sort of tax savings you can get, this is part of your financial planning and setting up your business plan before you go into business. Remember, in every country, there's differences in tax rates. There's different laws regarding tax and the type of business formation. And you should always look into this before you try to start a business. Don't try to start a business unless you understand the implications and you know the best practices on how to get government support or how to minimize the expenditure in starting your business. Now, you can do that also by claiming eligible deductions from the tax department or tax office in your country about what deductions they allow as far as your expenses in setting up your business in the first year. All right, let's go to the next one. Alternative funding. Alternative funding. Can everybody look at it? What is alternative funding? When it comes to external funding, most small businesses start by seeking bank loans. Bank loans are the easiest form of alternative funding. Okay, now, if you're going to seek funding externally from third parties or investors, you need to basically be able to establish all your financial, profit and loss, balance sheet, and financial statements, and provide them a record of the company's financial activity by showing them balance sheet with assets and liabilities, sales revenue, less expenses, and tax and profit. Financial statements are required by any company, especially when you want to borrow money, to show your financial worthiness and to be able to have those numbers audited by anyone who wants to lend you money. Let's go to the next one, please. The next one we're going to talk about is what we call crowdfunding. Does anybody here know what crowdfunding is? Can we stop sharing for a minute, please? Does anybody know what crowdfunding is? Who knows what crowdfunding is? Can you put up your hand? Crowdfunding. Yeah, okay, Nantan. What is crowdfunding? Can you open your microphone? Listen carefully, guys. What is crowdfunding, Nan? Open your microphone. Are you there? Would you like to open your microphone? Anybody else know what crowdfunding is? Come on, don't be shy. Augusta, do you know what crowdfunding is? Can you open your microphone, Augusta? Do you know what crowdfunding is? Go ahead. I can't hear you. What is crowdfunding?
This is just my own idea. Crowdfunding for me is financial help or financial assistance from the family or from relatives or
All right.
friends.
Okay.
That's my idea.
Good. So crowdfunding, you are partially correct. Thank you. So crowdfunding, guys, is when you go to social media and try to ask people to give you money to run the business. But crowdfunding can be dangerous because sometimes in return for crowdfunding, you start giving away equity, which you shouldn't do. You need to be very careful on how you manage crowdfunding. All right, do you understand that, everybody? Crowdfunding is a way of raising money. Does everybody understand what I mean by that? Yes or no? Does everybody understand what I mean by crowdfunding? Yes or no? Crowdfunding is a popular way of raising money. It's a popular way in many markets, but it's a dangerous way of doing it unless you know how to control it. Okay, many of you believe they're ready for crowdfunding. You can always message me and share certain information about your product with me or your finances with me, and I will be able to then explain to you whether your business is ready for crowdfunding. Do you understand that, everyone? Yes or no? Show me your hands. Okay, so it is an alternative, but it's an alternative you should approach very, very carefully. Does everybody understand this? Yes or no? Does everybody understand what I just said? Okay, guys, let's keep going. All right, let's keep going. All right, so let's go back and share our screen. Share our screen, please. Okay, here we go. Okay, guys, so crowdfunding, as I said, this is the most popular form of alternative funding, and this is a platform that platforms offer investors pre-sale of the product or other rewards in exchange for donations. This is crowdfunding. We don't usually offer them a share of profit. That is the wrong way to go about it. There are also emerging forms of crowdfunding for small businesses. For example, debt-based crowdfunding is essentially a peer-to-peer loan. Small businesses can look to raise capital in the form of a loan or a promissory note to be paid back at a fixed interest rate from somebody else that has a business, or somebody else that they answered their call for crowdfunding online. Okay, regulation crowdfunding allows eligible private companies to offer and sell securities in order to raise large amounts of capital. Now, regulation crowdfunding is not something you can run as a small business, because you have to meet your government's laws on crowdfunding at a larger scale, or when you're looking for millions, or if you're looking for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 million, that crowdfunding would usually have to be regulated. Now, I know people that have tried to do their own crowdfunding and have raised several hundred thousands, close to $1 million, without being regulated. But again, if you're going to go to that level of money, it's safer to use regulated crowdfunding. All right, so let's go on. Let's go to the next one, asset leasing. Asset leasing is another easy way for a business to be able to generate or build its financial capabilities. Asset leasing is the most popular method that businesses use today. And that means instead of buying machines, instead of buying cars or delivery vans, they lease them from a leasing company. And what that means is the leasing company buys the van for you, they pay for it, and you pay them back on a monthly basis. So instead of you spending $50,000 for the delivery van, you pay only 1 month's deposit, the first installment, which could be $400 or $500. You take delivery of the van that you bought through a leasing company, and then you actually use the van based on the leasing agreement. Could be 1 year or 2 years. At the end of that leasing period, you could either pay out the residual and own it, or you simply, if your leasing agreement does not offer a residual, you return it and take out a new one. Now, remember, leasing or financing, asset leasing, doesn't necessarily mean you end up owning the asset unless that's stipulated in your leasing contract. Leases deliver many benefits in terms of keeping cash in the company and not having to spend 50 or 60,000 just to buy a delivery van or a machine. Small business owners should be mindful of changes to accounting rules for leases, and all leases must be included in your balance sheet, because the lease becomes a liability. You have to pay the lease amount every month over a period of the lease, which could be 12, 24, or 36 months. But let me remind you all, if you use asset leasing and you lease a car or a van, you're leasing that car or van for 1 year, 2 years, or 3 years. Now, most leases do not allow you to own. You have to return it or buy it out at a particular price calculation at the end of the lease. Now, usually that is very expensive if you go that way. Usually, if you want to own, you have to lease to own. And that means you sign a 2-year lease, and in the contract, it will say at the end of the 2 years, if you don't return the car, there will be a residual amount, a fixed figure or a fixed percentage of the initial cost, which you have to pay, and the car becomes yours. Let's talk about the next part, insurance. Can everybody hear me? Can you wave your hands if you can hear me? Fantastic. Can everybody hear me here? Very good, fantastic. All right, guys, so remember, insurance plays a big role in a business. No matter whether you run your own business or you're starting your own business. If you go into business without insurance, you can end up losing your house and everything you own. If you're selling electrical goods, you need to have product liability insurance in case somebody buys one of the jugs that you had manufactured in China, electric jugs, to heat up water, and that thing has an electrical fault and blows up and burns your customer's house down or kills someone. If you don't have public liability insurance and the family sues you, you could lose your house and everything you own. So remember, even if the product is not made by you, but you're selling it, you need to protect yourself with public liability insurance. If you're keeping the products in your bedroom, which is your warehouse, you need to have insurance against fire. Because if the house is burnt, you lose all your stock, you've lost your investment. Common types of insurance include general liability, product liability, professional liability, commercial property, home-based business insurance, owner's policy. You could have a owner's policy which protects you against losses. Okay, all of these usually are essentially a package of common small business insurance products. Usually, if you go to an insurance company or an insurance broker and say, I'm starting a small business, I need product liability, I need professional liability, I need fire and general insurance on my office or warehouse, they will arrange that. But remember, guys, you going into business without insurance, you're actually writing your own failure. People don't plan to fail. People fail to understand how to be successful. Do you understand that, everyone? Yes or no? Do you understand that, Augusta? Very good. Excellent. Okay, let's keep going, guys. All right. Do you understand what I said, Salvacion? Okay. Let's go to the next part. Financial projections for a small business are critical. If you don't project how much money you need or expect to achieve based on your revenue in a certain timeline, okay, by using hypothetical data based on your market research, then you will fail. Financial projection is often prepared to present a course of action to let you know how much money you need, how much money you're going to have to spend. And this is critical. Projections are usually based on financial modeling techniques and provide the answers to questions that may sometimes be asked by banks, by private investors, lenders, or shareholders in your business. And their question is going to be very simple. If we lend you this money, what will you do with it? And how will you pay it back? Show me, what are your revenue projections? Show me, what are your business growth plans to increase your market share? Show me, what new products or services are you going to introduce to get your customers to buy more? All of these are questions that you have to answer. Example, Linda's Linens is growing its sales. Linen means sells bed sheets, table linen, towels. This company is growing its sales volume 10% each year. And that growth has been steady for the last 18 months. So for the last year and a half, her sales volume has increased 10%. After examining the financial forecast, it's reasonable for Linda to think that the growth will continue and she should plan accordingly. This would help her to manage how much inventory she has and make decisions about how much money to allocate on marketing to maximize or continue that growth. Now, Linda, if I can relate that to Mary Bellino, Mary Bell plans or is considering on opening a second shop right in the heart of Manila, right next door to Mega Mall, or right in the heart of downtown Malaysia and Kuala Lumpur, or right in the heart of downtown Delhi in India, or right in the heart of downtown Sri Lanka, or downtown Myanmar, or downtown Romania, or Russia in Moscow. Now, for each of those cities, the cost of opening another location is going to require rental, interior interior decoration, shop fitting, marketing, government licensing. You require money to pay your landlord a rental advance and security bond. All of this will require financial planning. Now, providing she has financial projections, she can then go to her bank or a third-party investor or an angel investor and convince them to lend her money based on her revenue today and her projections into the future. All right, so financial projections, guys, help you as a company realize your potential in the business. If you have financial projections and forecasts and you monitor these and review them on a monthly basis, you can then adjust your forecasts in order to show your profitability projections over the coming months. Do you understand what I mean by that, guys? Can everybody wave their hands or raise their electronic hands? Come on, I have over 500 students. I want to see 500 hands. Let's go, guys. Come on, everyone. Very good. Excellent. Okay. So does everybody understand what I'm talking about? Mary Len, do you understand what I'm talking about? Aileen Baladley? Do you understand, Aileen? Okay. Good. Excellent. Let's now talk about a business plan, guys. Let's talk about a business plan. Okay, what is a business plan? Aldwin, do you understand what we're talking about? Yeah. Can we go back one? Okay, all right, here we go. Sorry, just one moment, please. Okay, no, that's right, business plan. Okay, let's go back and talk about a business plan, guys. Hold on. A business plan, guys, is basically a document that contains financial projections. It contains the vision, mission, and objectives of your business, and these must come together. Business plan is something that you're going to learn to write in the next BizTalk, which will show you or give you a working financial projection Excel sheet and teach you each element of the business plan and how to answer it. Now, when you go over and prepare a business plan, your financial projections should include projected income, projected cash flow statements, and budgets for capital expenditure. The company must be able to explain why it came up with those projections and be able to explain why you need the money in order to achieve those projections. Now, who do you use this business plan for? You use it for investors that want to invest in your business, or for you to get a loan or a line of credit from a bank or a finance company. Okay, knowing the business. Financial projections show the investor that you understand the basics of financial management and you understand what the business is going to cost. You've learned that and you know how much you have to do in order to generate enough revenue. By using a business plan or a business plan Excel sheet that has the formulas in it, you can simply come up with a model based on the goods you sell, the cost, the markup, the selling price, what is the profit, how much will you generate in revenue, how much will that be in profit after all expenses, what will be your net profit, what will be your gross profit. These are core understandings: gross profit, net profit. And in order to have those two numbers, you have to basically understand that you need a business plan. You have to have identified the market. You have to have identified who your potential customer demographics are. And you have to potentially have identified the products you're going to launch. You have to have a SWOT analysis to show why your products are better than your competitor. You have to show what are the cost savings or the benefits, the value added benefits to your customer if they buy your product over that of your competitor. All right, building a financial projection. To build a financial projection, you need to look at year one, quarterly, and for the next 2 years at least. So you need to do the first year, second year, third year on a quarterly basis, and after that on an annual basis for up to 5 years. Total 5 years. To build up financial projections and make them useful for yourself and for your investors, you need to have sales revenue estimates. You have to know what the interest rates are if you borrow from a bank on any debts you may incur. You have to have worked out what is the cost of the goods sold, what is the income tax rate you have to pay on the tax on your earnings as a sole proprietor or as a company. You have to have sales revenue estimates for the first year. You have to have accounts receivable collection plan on how your customers are going to pay you. Is it going to be online, e-commerce? Are you going to allow credit? And you have to outline your operating costs, your projected gross profit, and your projected net profit. You have to outline your capital expenditure. You have to outline your margins. You have to outline basically how many of each product you're going to sell. You have to show what is the profit, what is the margin on each product. What does it cost you? How much is it? What is the selling price you forecast or you plan to sell at? And how many pieces do you plan to sell? And what is the forecasted revenue? Net revenue and revenue after all expenses. Now, if you own a company car, a company factory, company office, you have to show the cost of that capital expenditure and how that may be depreciated over 2, 3, or 4 years to reduce your tax bill. All right, so let's go on. Building a financial forecast or projection starts with creating a sales forecast. In simple terms, how many stores are carrying the products? How are each of these stores performing? How many can you sell? And based on those sales, what is your revenue? You need to create an expense budget. Expenses will include the costs associated with sales as well as operating expenses. And these operating expenses, guys, could be rent, electricity, marketing, customer acquisition, branding. All of these are costs that you have to deal with. You need to be able to forecast the cost of sales or cost of goods sold. And you need to take the current information and make sure you're accurate. You need to predict how these costs may change as a percentage of revenue in the event that the manufacturer increases the cost of the goods to you. You need to look at all the possible changes that may incur that would affect your profit margin or your ability to maximize profit. Predict how these costs will change, not only so far as your product, also so far as operating expenses. If you have a rental agreement for 1 year and your landlord has put in contract that there will be a 5% increase in your rent in the second year, all of that would have to go into your forecast. If you have a head count of 2 and you plan to make it 3 or 4 in the second year, 5 in the third year, 6 in the 5th year, all of their salaries have to be in the forecast. All right, you say here, you can put everything in there as a percentage except for headcount. For headcount, you have to explain what positions you want to hire and what salary you forecast that you're going to pay them and why have you forecasted that level of salary. Is it based on market or based on what your competitors pay or why? Okay, you need to create a statement of income, And I'll show you how to do that at the next Biz Talk. And there is formulas that will teach you how to do that. You need to create cash flow and cash flow projections. Again, I will show you how to do that when I share the Excel worksheet with you in the next Biz Talk. But I want you to start learning that all of these are a requirement when you produce a financial plan to start a business, which forms part of your business plan. You need to create a balance sheet with projections and recommendations. Again, you'll learn that at the next Biz Talk. Does everybody understand this? Yes or no? Okay. Okay. When building a financial projection, you need to use, sorry, we've gone too far, Medina. Yes, okay. No, yeah, this one, thank you. You need to use projections for planning. Projections are important, guys, because it's basically your forward estimate that helps you analyze and plan your financial status over the next year, second year, third year, fourth year, fifth year. And in this projection, you need to show based on how much the product sells for now and what will it sell for if you increase your product with 5%, 10%, or 15%. You need to have several variation calculations for your investors. Your projected financial statement should show the best scenario as far as profitability and the worst scenario in the event that the market slows down. The deeper you drill down with your financial expenses, the more you explain that in your financial projections, the more chance you have of getting investment. Once you've done that, you need to show how you're going to monitor these expenses and how you're going to compare your projections against actual results, because you need to do this on a monthly basis, because anyone who lends you money will expect you to be able to show them progress on a regular basis, except for the bank, of course. Consider purchasing accounting and planning software that does this, and I will recommend something to you on that when I show you how to prepare a financial budget using an Excel sheet with formulas in it. Here's an example of a financial projections template online. And this template I will share with you. If you give me a minute, guys. All right, can everybody see this? Can everybody see what I just shared? Can you go to the next screen? Medina, can you click on the link, Medina, and let them see it? Okay, can everybody see the link? Okay, guys, don't worry about it. No need to share the link, Medina. I will send you a copy of the financial projections template together with your certificate when we send you your certificate. All right, guys? So don't worry about that. You'll get a copy of the template when you get your certificate. Does everybody understand that? Yes or no? Can everybody put up their hand? Just hold on, guys. Okay, just give me a minute, please. Let me share my screen again. Setting up a small business or a business bank account is really, really important. And you can only do this, okay, providing you go to your local bank and set up a business account. Now, usually a separate bank account is a must-have for business. You shouldn't mix business with your personal account. Make sure that all business transactions flow in and out of one account and not your personal bank account. Because if you're borrowing money, the investor will require you to show him business accounts. And if you use your personal account, that may sway the investor away. All right. So everything should be done through a business bank account. Okay. So Okay, you need to pick the right bookkeeping software package for small business. Now, there is many bookkeeping software packages available on the market, Oldester. There is many bookkeeping software packages, but the difference between those bookkeeping software packages is the cost. And you can actually subscribe to these on a monthly basis, and it's still cheaper than you doing it manually. All right, and I will suggest some of these to you after the next Biz Talk, when I share with you how to use a Excel sheet with formulas. At the end of that lesson, I'll share with you 2 or 3 bookkeeping packages and tell you which one is free and which one you can get on a monthly basis. All right, you need to create a chart of accounts. A chart of accounts is a list of the accounts that is set up in the bookkeeping system to track all financial activities. Now, again, if you use accounting software, this will all be done for you. Most bookkeeping software packages will set up the basic chart of accounts based on the type of business you tell it. If you say you're a sole proprietor, you're running a food business, it will automatically have a predefined template for you. If not, it allows you to set up your own template, and I will go through all of that with you when I teach you how to use one. All right, each account should have an account name. It should be either an asset, a liability, or an expense. An asset is something that the business owns and has value, like a machine or a car or furniture. A liability is a debt, money that the business owes. An expense is an expense they have to pay on a monthly basis, like rental, electricity, salaries, etc. Okay, you need to set up expense tracking system. Of course, you need to keep a record of all your income as well as your expenses. Now, if you decide to keep a record of your income but not your expenses, what will happen is you will mislead the bank or your investors as to what your profit is. And if they find out that you haven't updated your expenses monthly in a timely fashion, they could say, we don't want to lend you money because we're not comfortable with you not keeping accurate expense records. So even though you update your revenue regularly, your expenses must be kept up to date. What is the downfall of not recording your expenses? If you don't record your expenses, ladies and gentlemen, what will happen for a month, no expenses, and suddenly you go and put them in all at one time. When the investors look at your balance sheet and your bookkeeping records, they'll say, hold on, why is it that during the April and May there was no expenses and you put them all in June? That will arouse suspicion. So everything should be kept in the books and tracked as it happens. Does everybody understand that? Whether you're using cash accounting or accrual accounting. Okay, you need to prepare a bank reconciliation. And what this means is checking the transactions on your bank statement against your actual expenses and revenue. And I will show you how to do that in the next lesson. Does everybody understand this? Yes or no? Okay. Ideally, the corrected bank statement balance and corrected cash account balance will be identical. So if your bank account is up to date and you've deposited the money on a regular basis, the amount of money in your bank at the end of the month should match the amount of money in your profit and loss or in your balance sheet or accounts receivables at the end of the month. Does everybody understand that? Yes or no? Do you understand that, Oldester? Good. If the business reconciles their accounts every month, at least they'll be able to narrow down their search up to the transactions that have occurred in the past month. And this is the way that your lenders will require you to do it. And this is the only way that you can track your business's well-being. You know, we all go for a medical checkup, right? Everybody goes for medical checkups. The doctor tells you that you're in good health now, Mary, but The only way the investor or the money lender is going to see that your business is in good health by having accurate financial projections and accurate financial records when you go to ask for a loan. Remember, we said stage 1, stage 2, stage 3. So whether you're going to go and ask in stage 2, stage 3, especially if you're going in stage 3 because you want to expand, you need to have accurate financial records. And if you want to go for round B in stage 4, you definitely need accurate financial records. You need to set up a financial reporting system. And again, you need to be aware that this is one of your responsibilities when you start a business. You need to keep a balance sheet which records the company's net worth. And basically, it lets you compare assets with liabilities and revenue less expenses, which shows profit in simple terms. So if we look at here, the formula here is liabilities plus owner's equity are assets. Okay, assets equal liabilities plus owner's equity. Locate the total assets on the balance sheet, okay? And then total up all the liabilities, which is a separate listing on the balance sheet. Locate the total shareholders' equity, and then total assets should equal the total liabilities and total equity. All right, so assets is 30% and owner's equity is 30%. 25% is common stock and 5% is liabilities. And you learn how to calculate that when I show you how to use a Excel sheet with formulas. All right, guys? So as long as you understand that the formula is assets equals liabilities plus owner's equity. Income statement. Also known as the profit and loss statement, the income statement shows how profitable the business was over a period. This statement should, okay, show the money made from selling goods or services, revenue, and business expenses. Reading the income statement can help see which activities are most profitable, which products are most profitable, which ones are least profitable. And that can tell you as an owner what you need to adjust in selling price, or whether there's products you should get rid of and replace because they are not selling and they are not profitable. Okay, income statement formula is net income equals revenue minus expenses. So we total all revenue or sales for the period. We total all expenses and cost of operating the business. We subtract total expenses from revenue to achieve net income or the profit for the period. For example, we have here revenues was $6,400. That was made up of merchandise sales of $5,000, music lessons income of $1,400. We deducted all the expenses, salaries, rent, depreciation on the furniture and the equipment, utilities, electricity and water, supplies, paper, whatever else they need. Your total expenses $1,815. So as at the year ended 31st December 2015, based on these numbers, your net income was $4,585. So this is basically net income, which equals revenue minus expenses. Today's lesson is not to get you to do it. It's basically for you to start learning what it means, because you'll receive the lesson notes shortly by link, and you'll also receive them together with your certificate. All right. So please start studying them before the next BizTalk. So when I teach you how to calculate them and I say income statement, net income, you will know what I mean. Does everybody understand this? Yes or no? Cash flow statement, ladies and gentlemen, is what we say. Cash flow statement tells how much actual cash the business received over a certain period. And this is different from an income statement because income statements are generally prepared using accrual accounting. So the revenues listed on the statement may still be unpaid. The business might have a large income, yet be chronically short of cash to pay the bills because they're waiting for their clients to pay the invoices. This statement will show whether the company had a positive or negative cash flow at a certain point, and then they can compare their cash flow statement to the income statement. If cash flows are consistently lower than income, it's time to figure out why your customers are not paying on time, or you may have to reevaluate whether you give them credit. Okay, here we go. Here we have cash flow from operating activities. Okay, we have 51,300 received from customers. Cash paid for merchandise minus 15,000. Cash paid to employees and salaries minus 10,000. Cash paid in interest for loans was 500. Cash paid to income tax was 1,500. Net cash provided by operating activities left in the bank is $24,300. Cash flow from investment activities, purchase of property and equipment, we spent 101,000. Okay, cash flows from financing activities. So ending cash balance in the bank based on this, cash wise, should be $32,800. Okay? Yes or no? All right. So note creditworthiness. Note creditworthiness. Creditworthiness is something that you want to watch, because if your customer can't pay you on time, you should not allow them credit. Watch the creditworthiness of customers. If you're not sure and the customer's buying several $1,000s of goods from you, before you approve credit, ask them to show you their profit and loss statement, ask them to show you their balance sheet, ask them to give you a copy of the last 3 months bank statements so you know that they have money and can afford to pay you. If you don't want to do that, you can actually go to a local credit rating agency in your country and apply for a credit rating report about that customer. But those reports can be expensive. If you're a small business and want to give credit, it's better to assess them yourself or ask your accountant to look at their credit history or their balance sheet before you approve their credit. Okay, when you start a small business, it's better not to allow credit. It's better to operate on cash on delivery or prepayment. If you offer credit, it's really important that you have face-to-face meetings with those customers to make sure their business is real before you offer them credit. You need to get aggressive and make sure you collect your invoices outstanding from customers. Usually, you should not allow them to hang out for more than 45 days. Okay, now remember, if it takes 40 days for customers to pay you, but you have one customer that is taking 51 days, then you need to start looking at that customer, because that is telling you that the customer is having financial difficulties. After bringing the collection down to industry average of 40 days or 30 days, which is the best way, most companies work on 40 days. Some companies try to keep it to 35 days. But the industry average today in credit being paid is within 40 days. 30 days expires, and then they process the payment and send it to you. By the time you receive their check, or if they do bank transfer, it should be 33, 34, 35 days. All right, you need to strengthen your banking relationship with your bank. You need to show the bank that you're depositing money on a regular basis, and you write checks, make sure you have money in the bank and that your checks don't bounce. Look for opportunities to reduce rented space. When you start as a small business, don't go out to rent a large space. Try to minimize your rental costs and rent the smaller space, only what you need. If you're running an online business, consider Amazon and having your stock stored at Amazon. Amazon will market your product to all their customers worldwide. You will have a larger customer opportunity base, and your customer acquisition costs will go down because your product will be visible to all Amazon customers, and you can put your product in Amazon's warehouses. But to do that, you have to show Amazon that you're a successful business with a reliable product and a reliable sales track record. If you don't know how to do that, you will learn that from me in one of our future lessons, which will teach you how to take your product and put it into an e-commerce platform. Okay, so what we've covered today, ladies and gentlemen, basically, we've covered everything to do with actually managing small business finance. Can I ask you guys, because I'm really worried, Iman, could you see my slides? Could you see all my slides? Good. What about you, Mary Len? Yeah, good. Excellent. Okay. All right. Let's go back to my other group here of lovely women and men and women. Where are you? Nantan? Could you hear me? Was everything okay? Could you see my slides? Good stuff. All right. Edison, tell me, Edison, did you learn anything today about financial planning for your business? Talk to me, Edison. Unmute your microphone, man. Okay, guys, if you have any questions, can you please put your questions in the chat group and I'll answer them. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to share the link with you for today's lesson, which you can download until such time as you get a copy of the material together with your certificate and the link that I showed you. Just give me a minute, will you? Okay, so Medina, could you share the link to today's material in your chat box, please? Medina? Just give me a minute, guys. Give me a minute, guys, and I'll share that. We'll share it in both chat boxes. One moment, please. Okay, here we go. Everybody go to their chat box and it should be shared now with everyone. Everybody got it? Okay, good. All right, so let's go back. I'm going to the chat box now. I want to see questions. If you don't ask me any questions, guys, it means you haven't learned anything. And then I really will be worried. Okay, does anybody have any questions? Don't be shy. My name is Wally, not Polly. Don't be shy, all right? If you don't ask questions, you don't learn anything. I know you guys always tell me that I explain too much and that's enough, but I love to hear your questions. Let me do what we usually do during every BizTalk. Everybody, I want you to follow me. I want you to say to yourself, I believe in myself. Everyone, I believe in myself. Let me see your lips moving. Everyone, I believe in myself. Very good. Next line. I can. I will. Very good. Remember another thing that I keep telling you, never let your parents, never let your grandparents, never let your boyfriend or husband or anyone tell you you can't. Always believe in yourself and say, I can. All I need to do is learn how. You understand that, everyone? Yes or no? Hildegard, do you understand what I'm talking about, Miss Hildegard? You look absolutely stunning in pink today, Hildegard. It's nice to see you again. God bless you. Okay. Who else have I got here? Muhammad Abdul Hamid, have you understood everything I've said? You have? Good on you, Muhammad. I really appreciate it, Muhammad. I know you're at work and you attend my BizTalk without fail. I wish you all the success, Muhammad. And please tell everybody else who's studying with Kingston that you know to join BizTalk. Please help me out, okay? Ladies and gentlemen, if you've enjoyed my BizTalk today, I'm going to ask you a favor. I want you to go to YouTube, Apex Stories. I want you to go to Facebook and Instagram today after this class. And I want you all to put there what you thought of today. Mr. Wally, I learnt about financial planning. Mr. Wally, it was really important to me because I'm running a business. I want to give your feedback about today's lesson. All right. Everybody can believe in themselves. Hnin, you. If you can't believe in yourself, Hnin, then you need to call me and I will give you a motivation session over the phone. Believing in yourself is a core quality of self-confidence. If you have low self-esteem, that means you've given up on yourself, and that is the wrong attitude in life. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you my story. I think Miss Medina has heard me say this many times, Miss Medina. I started cleaning tables and cleaning toilets at McDonald's in my younger days to make enough money to go to university. I came from a rich family. My father was a millionaire. My father was a stingy, very strict father. I loved him, but he was too strict. During my days at college, he used to give me $3,000 a month in pocket money. But when I used to come home and buy an Armani t-shirt or a Ferragamo bag, I used to get called stupid, silly, idiot, save your money, buy a $5 cheap plastic bag. One day you'll become rich like me. I got so sick of him calling me silly and stupid that the day I got accepted by a university, I told my parents I was going to visit my friend, Edison, but I lied. I got on a Greyhound bus. I had $40 in my pocket in cash. I had already spent my monthly allowance. I paid $28 for my bus ticket to Sydney. I had 12 Australian dollars in my pocket to eat with, to find accommodation and to live. I started university 60 days later. I had to find a job. I got off a bus in Sydney at Bondi Junction at 5:30 in the morning on a rainy Sunday morning because I ran away on Saturday. I couldn't handle him scolding me anymore. I got into Sydney and I asked the bus driver, "Excuse me, sir, where can I find cheap accommodation?" And I quote, the bus driver said, "Are you stupid? This is Sydney. This is New York metropolis in Australia. There's 5-star hotels all around here." I looked at him and said, "I can't afford a 5-star hotel. I have $12. You know what he told me, Edison? Get back on a bus and go home. I didn't do that. I walked into a McDonald's restaurant and I asked them, "Can you tell me where there's a hostel?" They told me. I asked them, "What is the cheapest breakfast I can buy?" They said sausage McMuffin and black coffee, $1.99. I bought it. And then I said to the girl, "Excuse me, can I get a job here? Will you give me free food?" She said, "Yes. Would you like an application form?" She gave me the application form. I filled it in. And this short guy, Vietnamese guy working in Australia, a store manager, came out and said to me, "Boy, you want to work at McDonald's?" I said, "Yes." He said, "Okay, you start today. You clean toilets, you clean dining room. We pay you $3.50 an hour. Finish your food, I give you cleaner's uniform." I couldn't say no. I've never cleaned in my life. I don't even know how to use a mop. But I had pride. I didn't want to go back to my father and told him that I failed, that I ran away and I failed to be able to build my own future. Then he'd laugh at me. I took the job cleaning toilets for $3.50 an hour. I used to work from 11 a.m. in the morning till midnight, and then another cleaner took over. But I was only a cleaner for 3 days. Do you know why, Edison? Do you know why, anyone? Because on my 3rd day, the store owner came in, the franchisee, and he said to me, "Excuse me, boy, come here. Why are you wearing an expensive Rolex watch like mine and cleaning McDonald's? Are you a spy or have you stolen that watch?" I took my watch off and I showed him my grandfather's engravement, giving it to me with my name. I said, "Sir, it's my grandfather's watch. I'm looking for a job because I'll be starting university in 90 days and I ran away from home. I want to show my father that I can do it on my own." You know what he told me? He said, "On Monday, you go to Hamburger University in Sydney. You pass, you come back with your certificate after 5 days. I will let you work here as a night manager. You start work at 8 p.m., you finish work at 5 a.m., you manage my store at night, and I'll pay you what your father paid you in pocket money, $3,000 a month." I did. And for 3 years during my studies, I worked at night and I studied during the day. When I graduated, the store owner came to my graduation, not my father, because it took me 3 years till after I graduated before I spoke to my father again. All right. I'm not telling you this to show off. I'm telling you this so you start believing in yourself and you have the willpower to be successful. Do you understand that? You have money. You live at home. You live in your own country. Even though you don't earn much, you still have money to buy food. You still have shelter. You still have Maslow's hierarchy of needs, sense of security, sense of safety, self-actualization. I didn't have that when I ran away, but I made it. After I graduated, within 9 days, I found my first job. My first salary was 12,000 Australian dollars a month. I was so proud of my success. It's not about me being showing off. It's not about that. It's about me telling you that nothing is impossible. Do you understand that? I don't want you to take it the wrong way. I'm only sharing this to motivate you. Thank you very much, Malu. If you have got loads of self-motivation from me, please go to social media and say that and tell your all students, attend BizTalk. BizTalk will motivate you. Mr. Wally motivated me. All right? Do you understand that, everyone? Yes or no? Does anybody have a question for me? Hello, Sir Wally. I have link again. Thank you. Medina, could you share the link again, please? Miss Medina, can you put the link in the chat box yet again? Please, ladies and gentlemen, you need to take the link when it's given. Otherwise, it will be sent to you together with your certificate. All right? Now, remember, in order for you to get the certificate and guarantee that you get the certificate, your video camera should have been switched on, or I should have received the message that you are at work. Okay? Aileen, you're not smiling, Aileen. Why are you doing this, Aileen? Are you bored or are you tired? Smile at me, Aileen. Did you learn anything today, Aileen? Yes or no? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Christine Joy. Thank you, May Ann. Thank you, Aileen. God bless you, Aileen. Twee Loan. Did you learn anything today? Yes? Wave your hand to me, young lady. You look cute in black. Wave your hand. Good on you. Good on you, mate. Princess Naili, thank you for your comments. Thank you so much. Medina, the girls are thanking you, Medina. Where are you? The girls said, thank you, Miss Medina, for helping us. Miss Medina helped you, I know, but I'm the one teaching the lesson, guys. Yes, Miss Medina asked me to fix the slides for you because some of you didn't see them. Thank you, Miss Medina. The student just clarified. Thank you, Miss Medina. All right, guys, from me and my boss and my co-host today, Miss Medina, thank you for joining BizTalk number 136. I look forward to seeing you all at BizTalk 137. May God bless you. From me and Miss Medina, we love you all, guys. We love you all. God bless you.